Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about something that can change your relationships, your work life, and honestly, your peace of mind. It's healthy boundaries. Not a lot of people like to talk about boundaries. It makes them very uncomfortable. But let's really think about this. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not punishments. They're not ultimatums. They're simply the lines that protect your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. And here's the truth. Most people were never taught how to set them. So today, we're going to fix that. First, what are boundaries? Well, let's think about it. You can think about boundaries as rules of engagement for your life. Boundaries tell people what's okay, what's not okay, and how you expect to be treated. Healthy boundaries create clarity, not conflict. They help you show up as your best self, not the drained, resentful version of you that appears when you're stretched too thin. Think about it. Do you ever see somebody's name come up on your phone and you're like, oh, not that person again? Or, okay, here we go, talking about the same old subject. Or, oh, okay, I wonder what they're going to say bad about me today. I wonder what's wrong with me today, right? So, boundaries help solve that problem. And there are different types of boundaries. You could have time boundaries, emotional boundaries, communication boundaries, workload boundaries, physical boundaries, and digital boundaries. You don't need to go around announcing them all either. Some are spoken and some are simply lived. So, why do people struggle with boundaries? If they're so healthy, why do so many people avoid them? Well, because they're afraid. They're afraid of disappointing others, being seen as rude. They're afraid of conflict. They're afraid to lose a relationship. They're afraid to be judged or be misunderstood. But here's the truth. People who get upset when you set a boundary are usually the ones who benefited from you having none. Healthy people respect boundaries. Unhealthy people resist them. Do you ever try and get off the phone with someone? You're trying to wind down a conversation. You're trying to get off a topic. You're trying to, not spend so much time discussing a certain topic. Well, the people who don't respect when you say, I gotta go, or, I only had a few minutes to talk, I'd like to finish this conversation later. Those people who resist that, they're the unhealthy ones. You're not being rude or dismissive. You are acting in a healthy manner. And actually, your boundaries can help other people too, right? It helps them learn to respect others. It helps them learn to reel it in or dial it down. So think of it as a way to bless yourself and bless others. Okay, well, let's talk about boundaries in relationships. First, let's talk about personal relationships, like family, friends, maybe someone you're dating, your spouse even. For time boundaries, you're allowed to say things like, I can't talk right now, or I'm not available tonight, or I need some time to myself. See, alone time isn't selfish, it's maintenance. It's okay to say, I just don't feel up to discussing that topic right now. I'd like to revisit it at another time. So time boundaries are very important because you need to respect yourself enough to set those boundaries. So you're not drained. So you're not overwhelmed. So you have some downtime. Okay, now let's talk about emotional boundaries. You're not responsible for managing other people's feelings. You can care without carrying their load all the time. You could try saying things like, I'm here for you, but I can't take this on emotionally right now. Or, I need to pause this conversation. Right? So if someone is like in emotional overload and they're just pouring it all on you, yes, you should listen. Yes, you take time to show that you care about what's bothering them. But their emotional turmoil does not have to rule your life. And so you're allowed to say, this is kind of heavy. Let's kind of break this conversation down into different parts and continue this maybe in an hour from now, or maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. You're allowed to call those shots and say, let them know, I really care about what you're going through right now. I just need to be able to sort through what you just told me in order to be able to help you better, right? Because some people just pour this bucket of emotional distress on you, and then they want you to help them. Well, this is all news to you, right? This might be a whole new conversation. So you need to step back, and it's okay to step back and say, I don't want to get off the phone with you right now. I hear that you're having, this situation, and it's really important to you. But let's kind of like switch gears for a minute and let you de-stress. Let you calm yourself down also, right? So it's okay to kind of steer the conversation. That's okay. That's having a boundary. Let's see. Then there's, again, communication boundaries, because not every topic has to be open for discussion. Whether it's their topic they bring up, you could say, I'm not comfortable talking about that. Or let's revisit this when we're both calm. Or this isn't really a topic that I feel is open for discussion right now, right? Because some people want to just dive into your life too, right? They want details. And you can say, I'm not ready to discuss that. I'm just not ready to discuss that right now. And that's okay. Say, thank you for asking. I appreciate that you care about my situation or what's going on, in my life, but I have to sort through a few things before I can lay it out on the table, or I'd rather sort through this on my own, right? You're allowed to say that and say, thank you for caring. I do appreciate that you are concerned, but this one I want to do on my own. Whatever, something like that. You're allowed to say that. Family boundaries. Family doesn't get a free pass to disrespect you. No, you can say, I love you, but I'm not discussing my personal life right now. Or, I'm not able to host this holiday party. Boundaries don't really push people away. They teach people how to love you better. Some people are very much into trying to run your life or tell you everything you're doing wrong. And sometimes it comes off very disrespectful, right? And just because they're family and you love them and they love you, right? Because mostly they're coming from a good place, and they're trying to fix you. They're not allowed to disrespect you. They're not allowed to disrespect your time. They're not allowed to say rude things to you. They don't have a free pass to call you out on every single thing that they don't like that's going on in your life. Yes, family's going to be more honest. They're going to be more straight to the point. They don't always follow the rules of engagement being nice. They like to remind you of every single bad decision you've ever made, right? They like to remind you of your pattern and your habits. And sometimes we need to hear that. But sometimes they need to dial it down. And if you're the one that is trying to fix everyone in your family, you need to respect their boundaries. You need to stop trying to be the one juggling the family all the time. Let everything play out the way it's going to play out. Sometimes it just has to. Sometimes you have to respect other people's decisions. Okay, time boundaries. Your off work hours are yours. If your boss or your supervisor brings up something they want you to do, I don't know, an hour before you're supposed to leave, and you know that it's going to take more than an hour, you could say, I'll look at this first thing tomorrow. Or, if you work from home, you could say, I'm offline after 6. You don't need to be available 24/7 to your boss. Period. The end. You can be very respectful and speak your mind about your time. Very respectful. This project is going to take a little more time than I thought it would, and I have something that I was in the middle of, and I really need to get this done before I can look at that project. So-and-so asked me, to get this done, and I really got to stay on top of this. Or this is a time-sensitive matter that I'm working on right now, and I realize yours is also, but I'm in the middle of this one, and I don't want to split my time between the two of them because I want to be able to focus fully and do an excellent job. Whatever you have to say, but make sure you set your boundaries for time, because a lot of times their boss is hounding them, so they're going to hound you, and you need to be respected also. So remember that you are allowed to set boundaries for time at work, and your off work hours are yours. They're yours. I know someone whose boss would text them at 7:30 p.m. The workday ended 4:30 for this person, and the boss would be home thinking about something and text it, and I just said, you need to shut your phone off. Do not disturb for anyone but family, right? You put on that do not disturb on your phone, and you could pick and choose what calls come through, right? So if you don't want to put the do not disturb on for everyone, you can pick and choose. And you could also, if your boss says, well, why didn't you respond to my text? Say, oh no, I do not respond after a certain time because this is my family time, and it's really important to me to have work and family time balance so that my work does not suffer and my family does not suffer. You're allowed to say these things. You don't have to feel like you're going to lose your job. Let's see. Role boundaries. Here's another one. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. You can say, that task falls outside my role. Who should we redirect it to? Who can also do this job? People like to say, that's outside my pay grade, right? You don't want to say those exact words, but it's kind of true. Your boss might be handing you stuff that they're supposed to be doing, but they might not be well versed in what they're supposed to be doing. I know someone who got somebody, her equal, right? They were both managers, and the one person got promoted to be director, and now she was this other person's director. Well, she got promoted, but she didn't know how to do many, many things. And she was putting all her work on this other person who did not get promoted. And that person was carrying that other person, and then finally carrying their responsibility. And finally, she spoke up and said, I have a lot of my own responsibilities that I have to get done for this, and this reason, and for that, and this person. I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. And she put it back on that director's plate. And it worked out. It worked out well. She did it respectfully. She did it in a timely manner. She didn't let this go on for a really long time and then, kind of throw it at the director. She kind of cut it off at the pass within a month of this going on. And it worked out well for her. And it ended up working out well for the director because she humbled herself enough to say, can you show me how to do that so I can do it on my own? Right? So you got to be humble too. When you're setting boundaries, you have to not do it in a hoity manner, but be respectful. And if somebody asks for help, well, maybe you could show me how to do this so that I don't have to bother you so much. Be kind. Be a caring person. You don't have to be nasty when you're setting boundaries. Yeah, I'll be glad to show you how to do that. Let's set a time tomorrow or next week, and we'll walk through the steps, and you'll be really glad that you did, and it'll make them respect you more, and it'll really strengthen a relationship too when you offer up help like that. So remember that. And there's other boundaries too, like respect boundaries. If someone speaks to you in a disrespectful tone, you can say, I am open to feedback, but not in that tone. Or I'm not really appreciating some of the words you're using. You're allowed to say things like that. And if once you start doing it, it'll feel more comfortable. I know in the beginning, it's not always comfortable because it's new for you, it's new for that person, they're going to look at you funny, but you will get good at setting boundaries, and it'll feel more comfortable to set the boundaries, and you'll have more joy and peace, believe me. Okay, let's see. Here's how to set a boundary without feeling mean. Like you could say, this deadline isn't realistic, or I'm not available tonight. You could state what your need is. I need a little more time, or I need some rest. I need to re-energize. I need to refocus. I need some downtime to rest so that I can get back at this tomorrow fresh and ready with clear thoughts. You could say that. You can say stuff like, I can have this done by Friday. So, let's talk tomorrow. I'll get more of the details tomorrow. Just the main thing is stay calm and be consistent, because if sometimes you have to give a little bit. I mean, you can't constantly always say no, but, be consistent. Maybe you have a time boundary where if somebody comes to you the last hour of work, you'll say, I'll discuss this tomorrow. But if it's 2 hours before the end of the workday, you can discuss it, but be clear with people so they're not confused. They don't feel like you're a yo-yo all over the place. They go, oh, and they'll get to know you, and they'll say, okay, yeah, no, I can't bring this to her right now. It's the last hour of work. And they'll know, okay, if they need something done, to come to you earlier in the day, right? So be consistent, be clear. And yes, sometimes you will need to set your boundary aside because it's teamwork. Sometimes something gets thrown at your boss last second also, and they really need your help, or a fellow employee. It's about teamwork. Boundaries, should be consistent, but you can be soft about them at times. Just really check in with yourself before you say yes. That's the most important thing. They don't require you to be emotional, when you're setting a boundary. You don't have to be all dramatic. Just be clear. Use a nice tone of voice, and you don't need a long explanation. You don't need to justify every boundary, and you don't need to apologize. Some people apologize for everything. I used to be one of those people. Oh, I'm so sorry. And still sometimes I say it because social grace, right? You need to have social grace. But you don't need to be like pathetic about it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't go down that road. Show a little strength. Short and simple is a lot more powerful than wishy-washy and apologetic. So it's going to take time for you and others to get adjusted and get used to you setting boundaries. Expect that you're going to have pushback. Expect that people are going to get defensive. But also, some people are going to respect you more. And you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more in control. You're going to feel more like yourself. You're going to feel like you have more power over your own life. And it's going to be okay. You're going to love it. And then you're going to find ways to set boundaries in every area of your life. You're going to like it so much. You're going to thrive. You're going to be successful. You're going to feel better. And set boundaries with everything. Set boundaries with yourself also, right? Now, people forget about this. You have to set boundaries for yourself too. Like, I'm not going to ask people these types of questions, or I'm not going to be on my computer more than 30 minutes a day on YouTube, going down that rabbit hole of watching one video after another. Set boundaries with yourself too, right? Because you love yourself and you're making other people respect your boundaries. Well, respect yourself and set those boundaries. I'm only going to have 2 snacks a week. I'm only going to have 2 cheat days a week, right? And when I do have a cheat day from my healthy eating routine, I'm not going to gorge, right? I'm setting a boundary that I'm not going to sit on the couch for more than, 30 minutes at a time. If I'm sitting on, because I work from home, right? So I make myself get up. That's one of my boundaries. I don't allow myself to sit on the couch without getting up, walking around, doing something, shutting off my computer, or, I have a treadmill right here. So I'll get on my treadmill. I'll do 30 minutes on the couch, 30 minutes on my treadmill. Stand up and work, right? Set boundaries for yourself. Set boundaries for yourself. Also, joyous boundaries. I am going to make sure that I do one activity a week that makes me happy, that I find joyous or relaxing. That's setting a boundary too, right? Setting a work boundary. You might work from home. I work from home. There's always a chore to be done. There's always something to do. You're right. I have dogs. There's always something to clean when you have dogs. There's always something to wash down. There's always something to, a chore to be done, right? So what I do is, just because I work from home doesn't mean I constantly have to be doing a chore around the house, and I don't always have to be on my computer doing work. I don't always have to be working, right? I want my home to be a place of joy and relaxation too, where I unwind. So I'll close my computer. I have my desk on wheels. I'll move my desk out of the way. I'll just sit here. I'll read my Bible. I'll read a book. I'll talk to my dogs. I'll go outside. I'll just stand outside and let the sun hit my face. Just I make sure I set boundaries in all areas. And that's what you have to do too. And I promise you, once you start doing this, you will love it. And you'll set boundaries in every area of your life. And you will be happier, calmer, healthier, more respected. And you will appreciate other people's time too. You won't be so needy of other people's time. You'll start realizing, oh, I don't want to be a time hog. I don't want to, feed off of other people's energy either. And you'll also learn how to occupy yourself in a healthy way without being on the computer. You will learn how to be able to sit down and do nothing for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time and be okay with it. Some people are go, 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 but you don't always have to go, go, go. You can sit and look out your window and just relax. So I hope this helps you. I hope this blesses you. And I appreciate that you listened all the way to the end. And I will talk to you soon. Be blessed.